it's a little bit of a kind of a puzzle where you don't know what pieces you're going to use, and nobody's choosing the same pieces, and you don't know what the puzzle's going to look like. But it's, I mean, it's fun. Yo, welcome to the show. You know, it's time to sit down and put in those earbuds so as not to disturb the neighbors, because this is Off Book, a podcast about Broadway, movies, TV shows, and so many other nerdy things. I'm your host, Marc Stoufer III, and today's episode is all about TikTok. Somewhere between lip syncing and dancing, some creators on TikTok are writing some pretty good music, which surprises me as much as it surprises you. So many people, including a lot of people that have the app, are saying that it's a waste of time. The President of the United States even tried to ban the app earlier this year, but some people are doing some really creative stuff on there. And TikTok got even more attention when a whole bunch of those creators worked together to write a Broadway-style musical based on the Disney film Ratatouille. And then even more attention when it was announced that that very same internet-written musical was going to get a professional staging in New York City in the middle of a global pandemic. So, a lot to talk about there. Let's jump in. Before we can talk about Ratatouille, we first have to talk about the music of TikTok in general, because it's very interesting. The TikTok community is very big and they do a lot of different things, but today I'm going to be focusing on the musical theater subsection. And what's really cool about the musical theater TikTok is that these people, these creators, these songwriters are writing Broadway-style songs about basically whatever they want, including one about a grocery store.
And we're fighting in a grocery store, and I love you, but I don't know if I like you anymore.
And in addition, people can watch these TikToks and use the app's duet feature and sing along to the original TikTok, creating more and more layers of a song until you have a full company number about being in the grocery store.
And we're fighting in a grocery store, and I love you, but I don't know if I like you anymore. We're standing right, I promise. Fine. And we all...
So, yeah. And so what we have here is a very interesting culture where these people are writing original songs and these other people are seeing them, adding to them, and these numbers keep getting bigger and bigger and more produced, but nothing ever really gets done with it. You know, it's not like you're writing an actual musical that people are going to go see, in most cases. There's no record label that's going to pick you up. You're not making money off of this or anything. It's just creative people wanting to be creative for the other people in that community. And I think that's very special. But not to mention, I think that the kind of content that these people are creating couldn't really exist outside of TikTok, because if you think about, you know, you write this song, and then what do you do with it? How do you release it? You can't really put it out in a traditional way with like an album or a concert series or anything like that. It's not that kind of music. It's not to that standard. It's just very different kinds of music. You know, these are show tunes, but they're also one-off show tunes, so it's not like you could really build an entire musical of them in most cases. You could post them on YouTube, but there's so much different content on YouTube, and this is a song, and you can make a music video to go along with it, but that is more work, and a lot of times that's not what you want to do. You just want to write a song, and so it's hard to make that work on YouTube with the algorithm. You post it on a website, but it's going to be hard to get that website some attention. And so TikTok is really the ultimate place for this to exist. They're short songs in a place that's designed around music and writing and dancing, lip syncing to music. People are constantly looking at the app. You can follow creators to see when they upload new stuff, much like YouTube, but in a shorter, more social media type format. And it works really well. And I think that, you know, TikTok gets a bad rap for being TikTok. You know, people are dancing and lip syncing, and it can be kind of cringy. But once you look past that and you look into the musical theater side of TikTok, these people are actually pretty good. You know, you have people that are very talented that maybe aren't quite to Broadway level yet, but it's practice, and they're creating stuff, and even if it's not to Broadway level, it's good, it's entertaining, it's creative, it's just an all-around good time. And like I said before, it's also really easy to share and to add on, which is also just as important in the realm of musical theater, or even just to being creative. You know, you can add all these layers, and you can make a song so much more rich, layered, and just musically interesting when you find these people that can take these musical themes and these songs that they're getting and reinterpret them and add to them and add new layers of depth. Using the duet feature, people are writing harmonies and new melody lines and are reusing melody lines, rewriting the lyrics to them. So you have these two similar melodies, but that are saying different things, and you can explore character, and you can have these very emotionally rich songs that seems like it's the actual finale of a musical that doesn't exist. It doesn't have this context, but you're creating this context, and it's really cool to see all this really creative work that's being put into it to create content that is very good quality, that's very community based, where people can all pitch in and do what they want to, and can draw inspiration from different things, and can really collaborate even if you haven't ever met the person, and all without needing any sort of label or organized structure on how you should write or how you should collaborate. That said, there is something to be said about the fact that this is TikTok. It's hard to be a musical theater person and bust through all of the lip syncing that exists. When you say TikTok, a lot of people, they're going to think of the cringe. They're not going to think of the musical theater. So compared to a lot of the more mainstream stuff, it can be hard to find success. And like I've said before, you don't really get to do anything with it. More often than not, you write a song and it does well on the app, and then you write more songs, which I guess is technically what happens on YouTube too. But YouTube creators are more likely to get into brand deals doing photography or as a spokesperson for something. Mr. Beast is the official, unofficial, I don't know what's going on there, spokesperson for Honey, the web coupon thing. Honey, please sponsor me and I'll figure out what you actually are. So, you find brand deals and partnerships and endorsements more on YouTube than you do on TikTok, just because of the platform and the kind of content that you're making. It's hard to do anything with TikTok songs because they're very short, they're very kind of self-contained. Even if people are adding onto them, it's still just one song. It's not going to be part of a larger thing for the most part. So there is only so much you can do with the songs you're writing, and for some people that's fine. But I don't think it's likely that you're going to find as many. I don't know, this might be a thing, a professional TikToker, because it just doesn't seem sustainable, which is fine. It's not supposed to. But once you get into the super high effort, pre-planned and original musical theater song that has emotional context that doesn't exist outside of this one song, it is a little bit disheartening to see. There's nothing I can actually do with this. It's not going to go anywhere. This is just a song that I post on to this app, and that's kind of where it ends. Maybe I'll get duetted. Whatever it is now. And that's not all I can do, for the most part. But there is always an exception. Today's episode is sponsored by The Lone Ranger, the TikTok musical. It's not a real thing yet, but I'm hoping that the creative minds behind the Ratatouille musical can see the potential in this too. Sure, the movie didn't do that well at all, but there's opportunity for plenty of show-stopping musical numbers like yeah, I don't actually know, but I'm sure that somebody can figure it out, which is why now is a great time to invest. Your donation of $600 or more can help give somebody, maybe even me, the motivation to try to figure out how that'll work. Or maybe there's something special about Ratatouille. Let's take a look.
See, it's the rat's life for us. In a Remy we don't cook food, let alone where we don't go. Rat's life for us.
The TikTok Ratatouille musical is quite an achievement. And that sounds sarcastic, but it's not. I am very surprised that it has gotten where it has, but I'm also very happy that it did. Like I said, nothing about TikTok makes it seem like this is a good place to write a brand new original musical based on this Disney animated movie from a while ago. And even if you do, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that good. But it is. It's really a testament to the creative people. A lot of people will write these people off as, they're just TikTok creators. Yeah, but they're creators. They're writing music that is getting noticed, and it's good, and people are responding to it, both on and outside of the app. For those of you that don't know, Ratatouille is a movie about a chef in France who's working at this high-class restaurant, but who can't actually cook. However, this rat named Remy, who can cook somehow, meets this chef and decides to get inside the chef's hat and pull on his hair to control his arms. So that Remy, this rat, is cooking through this human chef named Linguini, and ends up making this dish called ratatouille. It's very good, but nobody thinks it is. And so it's this kind of journey of this rat meeting the chef and then becoming friends, and Remy helping Linguini to cook, and then having to deal with this other rat family who's saying, oh, you can't do that, humans are bad, and humans don't like rats. And then it sounds weird when I explain the plot, but it's a very good movie, I like. And so does the internet, apparently. I had never really thought about it, but Ratatouille has a pretty good structure to it for a Broadway musical. You know, you have kind of two separate but intertwining arcs with Remy and his rat family, and Linguini and his aspirations to be a chef, and he's trying to get a love interest, and Remy's trying to find his place in the world, is kind of balancing the worlds of cooking and also being a rat who's not supposed to be a cook. And you have this story where everything looks like it's going to be good, and then things start to go downhill. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen Ratatouille. If you haven't seen Ratatouille, go see Ratatouille. It's a good movie. Go buy it on DVD or probably on Disney Plus too. Anyway, it has a pretty good two-act structure to it. I was and still am concerned about how they're going to pull off scale, because they're both human characters and rat characters, and in case you don't know, rats are hopefully not the size of humans. And I'm not sure when you have human characters that have to be human-sized and rat characters that I guess have to be then proportional without being too small for the audience to see. I don't know how that will work. I think that the professional staging is just a concert. I don't think you're going to have to deal with that. I'm not entirely sure. I do know that if this were to go to Broadway as a fully fledged show, you'd have to figure out how to deal with that. And I had thought before about how a Ratatouille musical would work. I did an episode of the show back in season 1 where we tried to come up with some adaptations of movies, and I had Ratatouille on the list and thought that wouldn't work because of the scale. And people didn't care, I guess. People were like, this is good music, let's write some music. And they did. It's good music. I will say that there are some issues with this show. It's not perfect, and it's the reasons you think. You're writing it on the internet, and so it's people that don't have their degrees or anything. These are professional songwriters, so the music quality isn't going to be as good as something you generally find on Broadway. And not to mention that it's not being written by one person, it's being written by a lot of people, and so you have all these conflicting ideas about what to do and what song should go, what song should be. For every plot point of the original movie, there's several different songs that all kind of interpret it in a different way, which is really cool, but definitely is something that kind of makes it hard to create a cohesive story. Not to mention that these people aren't experts on the original movie. One of the main songs in the musical calls Remy the Ratatouille, and for those who don't know, Ratatouille is the name of the dish that Remy makes. Remy is a rat, Ratatouille is the food, but this is kind of big song that is kind of the finale of the show is calling Remy the Ratatouille, and that's not that, which is fine for the internet, but gets some issues when you start to show it to people that aren't on TikTok, who don't have the knowledge of the full show. And so you could start to run into some of these issues where, writing one song is fun, and then expanding on that one song is fun. But when you start to write a full musical, it doesn't work super well, because you just have all these different voices of people that don't know each other, don't necessarily have this expertise in writing, who can't really collaborate. And when there isn't really a full structure, it's not like you're assigning songs. People are just writing songs and then sending it out into the void. It's hard. It's a little bit of a kind of a puzzle where you don't know what pieces you're going to use, and nobody's choosing the same pieces, and you don't know what the puzzle's going to look like. But it's fun to see everybody come together and do this. Like I said, the music is pretty good. I encourage you to take a listen to it. Whether you have TikTok or not, a lot of the music has made its way onto YouTube or the internet at large. It's a really good show, and I think it's a really cool concept. And I think that, especially in a year like 2020, when Broadway shut down and when a lot of theater is unable to operate as usual, you're finding these composers and these actors trying to do shows from home, and you have these creatives that aren't necessarily part of the theater community, the professional Broadway community, saying, hey, I'm cooped up at home too, let's write a musical. And that's really inspiring to see. Even if it isn't quite to Broadway level, it's pretty good. And these people are, collaborating with people that they don't know, and they're writing songs and then using the duet feature to make a full company song, and people were designing playbills and designing the sets and designing costumes. And it was really cool to see this show just come together because people wanted to. Because people liked the idea and thought they could add something, and so they did. And it had nothing to do with money. You're getting it seen. They were just having fun and being creative, and that's really cool to see. Now, as you may recall, I mentioned that this was getting a professional staging in New York, and that is so bizarre in one of the best ways possible. Had you told me last year that a a musical based on a Disney film written entirely by creators on TikTok that didn't know each other was getting a professional staging in a Broadway theater in New York City while Broadway is actually shut down because of a global pandemic. I would go cry. But anyway, it's interesting. Some people are mad at the people that are putting this together because, you know, they're confused as to why a concert presentation of an internet-written musical is being put on with both the original creators and also Broadway professionals in a Broadway theater when actual Broadway shows aren't allowed to perform in any regard. You know, they can't do it with an audience, they can't do it without an audience, they can't do any sort of in-concert thing. You know, Broadway theaters are not allowed to be open except for internet concerts, which is a little bit of a weird situation, and I don't know why TikTok is what got it to open. I don't know the logistics behind that. It is a little bit weird, but at the same time, I think that, you know, we're going to be putting on a performance. People are getting to be exposed to theater. People are getting work that wouldn't have gotten it before. You're finding some semblance of theater. And I think that right now, any sort of theater that we can get is good. Not to mention that some of the original writers of this TikTok musical are working on this professional staging too, which means that people that aren't part of the Broadway community are going to get to work on a Broadway show, which, one, I'm so jealous. I want to work on a Broadway show. Somebody let me work on a Broadway show, please. Anyway, it's really cool that they're giving people who are outside of the industry the exposure and the practice and the work to be able to do this. It's really cool that you're kind of opening up Broadway. Like, not just Broadway professionals can write Broadway shows. Obviously, let Broadway professionals do it because they're professionals. They know what they're doing. They're very good at it. That's why they keep winning Tony Awards and whatnot. But it's also really cool that we're letting new people in and giving them the chance to kind of play in the sandbox. You're also going to get a whole bunch of non-theater people to watch this show. They don't necessarily care about Broadway or the fact that it's in New York. They want to see the TikTok musical. And I mention this all the time. I mentioned it last week. Any way that we can get more people exposed to and invested in theater is great. You know, if people see this TikTok musical and say, hey, I wrote for this, or I saw this, I was following this, or I think this is interesting, I'm going to watch this professional staging or concert or whatever it is. They haven't announced a ton of stuff yet. I'm going to watch this, and then, hey, this is pretty cool. Is this what Broadway is? Let me go check out more Broadway shows. And maybe they join the theater community, whether it's through following shows, listening to cast albums, going to see shows when things open back up, donating to things right now as Broadway is struggling to kind of stay afloat through this pandemic. You know, getting more people into the community in whatever way we can, no matter how involved they're necessarily going to be, I think is great. And so I think that getting these young people that are on the internet that aren't necessarily part of the theater community, that wouldn't go see a Broadway show otherwise, invested in something on Broadway, invested in something that is musical theater, I think it's great, and I'm really excited to see what this show is, to see what it means for the future. Hopefully it means that more people are going to be joining the theater community and getting invested in theater, joining it, whether it's on stage or behind the stage or just from the audience. I also think that you're going to start to see more acknowledgement of the internet and of TikTok. Because like I said, you know, if I say TikTok, you're probably not going to think of original musical theater. You're not going to think of a full musical based on a Disney film. But, you know, these people are capable of that. And so, you know, the creators that are on TikTok and on the rest of the internet, I think you're going to start to see them being more included in things. And you to start to see them, I think you're going to start to see them be more respected in terms of their creative ability. Because just because they're on a dancing and lip syncing app doesn't mean they're not good at it. It just means that that's the platform that works best for them, because it does. I'm very excited to see how Broadway changes. I'm very excited to see more people join the community. I'm excited to see all the different things musical theater can be, because it's not just on Broadway. It's not just in a theater in New York City or in a theater, some touring production. I think that, you know, regional theater and school theater and even internet theater is becoming more and more of a thing. And I'm really excited to see where that goes and how it continues to grow. So overall, I am very excited about the Writing to a Musical and the professional staging and just TikTok music in general. I think it's better than people give credit for, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to be watching this show. And once that's finished, feel free to come back here and binge all of the episodes of this show. Next time is all about the new and inventive ways that filmmakers are working to film Hollywood pictures during the pandemic. The next time I join you here on the airwaves, it'll be 2021. So, see this year out in style and have a happy new year.